I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I have duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What the fuck is up? Welcome to another Already Dead. Get the fuck out of here, Jules. Just kidding. He's still there. Voice of God with us.
What's
Jules,
up?
what is up?
What
And
up,
other
Uncle
Already
Boy?
Dead commences. I'm here with Austin Wade Picard, our perennial forever co-host, along with me being a co-host. There's no main co-host. We're equals here. We're all equals here. This is an egalitarian podcast. Just kidding.
God.
Communism's gay.
Shut the
But
Oh my god.
we
dude.
also got on the I guess on the ones and twos is the fancy thing to say in the background. We have the Jules, although I don't really know what the fuck he does with ones or twos. But he's back there. He's hanging out. If we find something worthwhile bringing up, he's also our mediator to talk to the chat in the background. I have to be a lot nicer, especially given my recent gripes about my other podcast to Jules.
Oh my god.
I can't at all be a hypocrite now treating my employees that I don't pay like shit.
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
Cool.
We're not doing that drama here today, guys. If you guys want that, go check out the
guys.
Morning Dump on Already Dead. Or not Already Dead, but on No Way Jose. I went into all that fucking stupid drama fest. If you guys are interested in that, responded to some faggotry. I think I'm over it. I kind of don't care anymore. But pleasure to be with you guys today. What is up, Austin?
Man,
Also,
up,
just real
man?
quick, I know I did kind of, I can't even help it because I'm just kind of, I threw out a little bit of heat. Don't expect you guys to go into it at all, to throw any sides whatsoever. I hope you guys do cool with the people that I have beef with, and I'm not even going to really go into it too much because why do such a thing? Because this is a different show. This is you guys are here too. I'm not going to bog it down with faggotry from that. So glad to be with you guys. Hopefully we can kind of move past some of the gay shit of the past week. But boy, oh boy, did we have a full week, didn't we, Austin? I think you're getting ready to get murdered by Mexicans or something, I think, right?
I will say there are effectively military checkpoints to a certain extent, honestly, as far as the free moving, like military assets in place. They're very obviously in place in LA right now. It's interesting. And I'm talking people washing their cars, getting just straight up accosted by and obviously, like, I in no way am I in support of the Alex Soros funded riots that are obviously playing out. But
real quick,
it's just
do you
interesting.
know? So I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
No, you're good,
do
buddy.
you know anyone personally? Not I'm like trying to. I'm just trying to get a feel because as I kind of went a little bit of a rant on this today. When it comes to protest stuff, it is this weird. It's kind of like where I am when it comes to immigration, very much in the sense that like the government fuck should go in both ways.
Yeah,
so it's like I'm
exactly.
against riots. I'm very against riots. You don't get to hurt people. You don't get to break shit. But it's also like I've also seen the flip side where the government will then find excuses to I don't know, somehow manage to get their agenda through some sort of crowd or whatever, and they might even be being peaceful or whatever. So it is like I am kind of torn. So it is always good to hear from people who might be somewhat close to the action. And this is supposedly happening right in LA, which I can tell you from going over there to hang out with you that you're pretty goddamn close to LA. And I mean, I don't feel like I'm like doxing you or anything. I think you'd admit that.
Yeah,
I guess we could delete this episode real quick and shut it down if you say otherwise.
No, you're good, buddy. I've said before, I'm in Long Beach, so it's Los Angeles. It's definitely LA County, and if you understand how LA kind of sprawls out, it's interesting. But it's all sort of very much connected. Everything's about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic, right? At least around where I am. But I have no reason to go on the 101 unless I'm going to Hollywood or some shit. And that's where like a lot of it happens is downtown, or like specific areas, like let's say Compton, right? And it was specifically one of those areas which I found kind of like. Did you notice, by the way, all the downtown stores that were being looted, like the T-Mobile store, the Adidas store, the Jordan store? Like it was.
I can't say it. This is why I'm asking you, because you were there, and frankly, hilarious. I don't. Maybe this is kind of interesting because I have a co-host here who's literally at LA, and like it just felt like for me as someone on the other side of the country, and also I kind of alluded to, and if you watch the morning show, I did have a lot of other shit going on these past few days, but I kind of felt blindsided. It also was a very busy weekend. We had a fucking. We had a Cash Patel Rogan episode drop. We had a J.D. Vance on Theo Vaughn. There even was kind of like, as if that wasn't enough, there was like a Tim Dillon versus Cuomo show off. So there was a lot. But then it's also like, and this just kind of caught me on nowhere. Like, whoa. We got riots in L.A. I literally like just kind of like, frankly, kind of like fucking today/yesterday, just kind of blindsided me. Like, whoa. We got some crazy. They're talking about sending Marines and doing all sorts of shit. And so then I'm like kind of caught. I'm like, I don't even know how authentic this is. So I don't really know where I am because it, like, once again, kind of just like with immigration or this, it's one of those things where they fuck you both ways. So it's kind of like I have to really kind of hone in and be like, what the fuck is going on here before I really give my take. And that's kind of where I'm at. So you're there. So, I mean, maybe you kind of have a stronger idea. Maybe you're getting those little notifications or saying, hey, there was a Mexican in your area. We're looting cars.
There's community apps popping off, right? They're like, dude, I swear to God. It's crazy, man.
Like, so since the Mexicans are doing it, it's just giving the blacks and the Antifa whites, like, reason to riot as well, right? Like, you see fucking bricks being placed everywhere already.
Well, it's no
people
doubt
getting paid like $2,500 a day. Or
yeah. And I pulled a story as well where you definitely have, these interesting incentives that are being, very well at least marketed to the public through these community apps and various other like Craigslist postings and things of that nature, which I found hilarious. But yeah, it's order out of chaos, obviously.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, this is what they do. And in my mind, this is political theater in a way that was very, you could almost have, I mean, clearly this is very much staged. I think this was provoked, but you have provocateurs where you clearly have the pallets of bricks and that have been set up and staged all around. Like that was in
that's happening again. That is happening again.
Yeah, no, legitimately, I have footage. I'll pull it up.
I mean, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm literally just kind of like just reiterating because you're in that area.
Yeah.
And like once I'm not playing the Douglas Murray. Oh, you've been there, but like I know you're literally probably like actually getting more notifications. You're frankly probably more inundated with this news, and I'm someone who just got blindsided. So I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
Before I make any sort of takes on this,
right. I really do believe there's political positioning playing out in terms of the upcoming next presidential cycle. I think Gavin Newsom is very much positioning himself in that as far as being the potential candidate, and also considering like I even believe there could be a plausible outcome of Gavin Newsom naming like an AOC as his VP candidates, and this very much being like one of those jumping off points to pave the way and kind of right for this sort of potential administration, which we all know how the pendulum swings. There's going to be a visceral overreaction to this Trump administration. That's a reality. All right. So like I'm only considering what will the plausible outcome be and the potential consequences of that, and it makes all the sense in the world. Especially I think he's giving a speech right now. Jacob and I were just talking about how he had just mentioned. I think he's given a speech. He started at 6:30. And yeah, he already has been calling Trump
6:30 your time. So that's
yeah.
So that would be what, 20 minutes ago? Yeah.
20
like
minutes
11:30.
Yeah, which I found interesting because I just pulled up. Obviously, there's a Politico article, right, that discusses this from yesterday. Discusses Gavin Newsom calling Trump unhinged, speaking like an authoritarian in terms of the National Guard deployment, right, to LA. And then obviously, as I just pulled up here, you have the 700 Marines deployed, which this is all precedent-setting operations in many ways, right? Because clearly it's like, I don't know, what is it, posse comitatus or whatever the hell it is that's legitimately you're just like deploying the military domestically.
Yeah.
This is definitely as far as just
I think maybe I might be wrong, but I think as of right now, I think that the stance is just the Guard. And I think with the Guard, it technically doesn't break posse comitatus or some shit, because it's like that's what the Guard's supposed to be for. But it's such a stupid fucking gray line, because it's like the Guard basically is just the federal fucking military. Although there has been like the Defend the Guard movement that's trying to make that not be the case, and it be this, because it's like this weird quasi militia thing, sort of, is what the intention of the Guard. But then it just kind of got subsumed by the federal government, and like, well, we're just going to use you for our empire building in the Middle East. And it just kind of became this other thing, and then there's still this I don't know, it's kind of torn between what the fuck it is. So it is like, I think technically it's not a posse comitatus thing because it's the Guard, but it's such a stupid fucking like gray line that's like, I mean, I can tell you from doing 11 years active, there's like, I don't know, the Guard guys deploy all the same. They go to, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's differences between active and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. It's the differences is kind of like, it's frankly the same fucking thing. If you send I mean, yeah, you might be slightly less qualified than the active duty guy, but
right.
like, what?
Is it, I believe, that
it was Marines. Yeah, they're saying Marines,
there are
but
now
Marines can be Guard
Marines
as well. So that's
okay.
the thing.
Are they under the now? See, I was under the impression that these 700 Marines were outside of the
they're active. I might be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe they're active. I don't want to make that claim, but that was my understanding that we were just at Guard. I think it was just that for some reason mentioned Marines. Maybe I'm wrong. So
the Marines are from the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines at 29 Palms, California, whom U.S. Northern Command had said Sunday were on a prepared to deploy status if the Defense Department needed them.
Maybe I'm wrong. I think that sounds. I'm pretty sure that might be an active battalion, because I think it would be like it would literally, I think, say Guard or something like that in the title if it was otherwise. I think I might be wrong though. I'm not. I was never a Marine. I was Air Force, so maybe they do shit differently. So, but yeah. Either way, I guess the current thing. I will say I am concerned because I do think there is parallels. This is one of those distinct policies that they're kind of able to do this fuck you both ways, and there's an argument for it. So it's kind of this like, you can make a good argument for why riots should be put down, and I agree with that argument. But it's also like you kind of find you can get sketchy with it, you know. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I do think it's interesting though, because this is in Paramount, right? There was look at this. This is crazy because it's not just like isolated brick pallets. Like, watch this.
Okay.
It's interesting to me because it does fit the profile as far as just the playbook and pattern recognition in my mind. Look at that.
Are there other video? Okay, so there's
what up, dog?
Okay.
You know what I mean? That and it's not just like some random location in LA.
Yeah, that's what I was like, because I saw a building that looked kind of like some sort of warehouse building. So I'm like, what is that? Is that some sort of like, I'm trying to be fair, maybe that's some sort of place where you would drop a pallet of these, because that's cinder blocks.
True.
So it seems like more like building materials, but I don't fucking know. I mean, it is weird because it's like also they're right there. So why is there this group of people that are protesting right by this pallet of cinder blocks? Well, I don't know.
Right?
Very suggestive.
This is so fucking funny. Did you see this video of Maxine Waters? This is hilarious. She's basically saying that this has been peaceful.
Oh, mostly peaceful? We're doing that again?
Yeah. And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot.
Oh,
Nobody
shit.
was killed.
Okay. Well, that answers my question. Like I said, I had no follow it.
Okay, this is right here.
Okay, that fucking video fucks, dude. I'll give you that.
This guy right here.
That dude's
I
cool as
found
fuck.
out some shit. There's like we're talking. There is a face of this obvious as far as just the LA riots 2025. The face of the LA riots is this individual by the name of what is his name? Alvarado, something like that. Let me pull his name up real quick.
I mean, I'll be real. This fucks. Like this does fuck. I don't know what's going on here, but this fucks.
This is like very well produced. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you that. This is fucking cool. It kind of makes me want to riot. I'm like, rioting's bad, but that's fucking cool, dude.
It does look
like they're shooting a movie or something.
I'm telling you right now, buddy. We have staged areas of Los Angeles. I'm not saying that legitimate violence isn't occurring.
But boy, do they make it cool.
Yeah, dude, they make it look cool.
I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence.
Is that the
I
Apple
was
Store?
on the street.
Dude,
I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight.
Launching rocks.
And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw. And even those who were out of step with what we.
So there were these. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. There's a lot of footage that's coming out that, you know, I honestly, it looks like they were on a stand down. 100% looks like they were told stand down. Don't actually pursue this. You know, consider the numbers. I don't know exactly what it was, but when you see like this is just the T-Mobile building, you can see another example of this.
Yeah, these cocksuckers will monopolize your security and then fuck it all up, and then just like they just fuck it up both ways, and then we need more shit.
Hey,
and then fuck it up
Jacob just told me that they released a bomb squad in downtown Chicago because there's
I saw that. I mean, I guess we'll kind of maybe see if
looks like a store is being looted. This could be looks like a sneaker
store.
store.
Take a piss. You guys got this for a second.
This looks very familiar.
Cool.
Yeah,
we were over this.
So
years ago
this is the Air Jordan store, dude, downtown, which is just so funny to me that
the same store that was looted.
Obviously, you're having you had a weed dispensary. This is a funny post. You had a weed dispensary, Apple store, and then finally they ended up at the CVS, which is it's just crazy to me that
wild, dude.
when you are actually watching what's playing out here. Oh yeah, this is interesting as well because you had the California sheriff come out. He's talking about essentially how Gavin Newsom, right, was basically hindering the authorities on the ground, which makes a lot of sense. But he himself revealed bricks are being left out for rioters, which I found crazy.
Yeah.
So hold on. Let's see.
Absolutely appalled that we are at this point in society where people come out and think that this is okay. And then it makes it 100 times worse when you have politicians that are encouraging it, that are not calling it what it is, which is criminal activity. The lying to all of us, lying to the media, and purposely using the word peaceful while maybe they should look at their phones or their TVs, because I have law enforcement officers that are being shot at, that are being injured, that are being hurt, vehicles being damaged, things being burned, and they're calling it peaceful. It is a disgusting display of partisan politics. I wish they would all just put their phones down, be quiet, and let law enforcement handle this how it should be handled, which is the complete enforcement of law and holding criminals accountable. It's rocks, bottles, tools, weapons being thrown at us. You watched multiple vehicles destroyed yesterday by bricks. There are people hauling bricks into this zone and then dropping them off and leaving them there for weapons. And then our deputies and our police officers they're being used against us. And we're being hit with bottles. We're being hit with glass bottles, with tools, with rocks, with bricks. This is not a peaceful protest. It isn't even a protest anymore.
That's just crazy to me. I thought it was definitely important to at least mention the fact that he had made that personal reference to the pallets of bricks, right, being set up around and staged around the city. And man, straight up today, just a couple hours ago, there was footage of like this at least one individual who was seen like pulling out a handgun and firing back at police, and that was in front of the that donut shop, right? That's super famous with as far as the footage of that donut shop, and the cops all staged out in front of it, which is I don't know. It just, again, it fits the pattern recognition, buddy. And this is what I was talking about as far as order out of chaos, right?
Palantir, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. And false flag psyop season, right? All day long. That's all I know. And
yeah, that's what I've been driving at. That I'm a little bit concerned, and this is why I keep making this parallel up to immigration, because this is with all the Israel stuff kicking up. They were also pushing, and it's what did they do? Oh, all these for Israel immigration stuff, and it's like, what are we about to get here? I don't know, because it is like they're in a very similar position where they're in this mandate type position where. Who the fuck are you? Even among the left, I mean, what serious person are you really going to find that, like, a serious person, anyone gives any sort of credibility that's going to be like, we shouldn't stop riots? Who's going to say that, you know? And I'm not even saying I'm not saying that. Like, you should stop riots. But the problem is they go, okay, cool, we have this mandate, stop riots. All right, cool. Well, it sounds like we have a little bit of a wiggle room to get away with some shit here now, don't we? And then it's like... Right. So we're gonna get away with some shit. So that's how this feels. Anytime. Oh, all right, so that's loud.
My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. So this is how it feels anytime some sort of or some sort of issue comes into play where they have like a genuine, I don't know, I guess purpose for their existence. It's like one of these things that they have taken on the monopoly for doing, security, and so and the same thing with the border. To where they're kind of able to control both sides of this, and so it's this kind of like they literally control the Hegelian dialectic from both angles, and are able to kind of control how it goes down.
That is exactly what we're dealing with, and we had we had someone actually respond to the promotion of tonight's show on Twitter with a short video that really captures exactly that statement that you just made. I mean, look at this, dude. This is...
And they create control. Over the world headquarters in Switzerland of the World Masonic Headquarters for World Freemasonry, over the door is Ordo ab Chao, which is Latin for order out of chaos. And all Freemasons know that term, Ordo ab Chao. Order out of chaos. The concept is to create chaos, to create the problems. Then while the people are frightened to death of all the crime, and everything that seems to be out of control, a riotous situation, the government then moves in with justification. In order to put down this terrible chaos, they must have full power of the military, full obedience of the people to give the government full power to do whatever they want. That's why we're having all over the world wars, riots, bloodshed, famines, all kinds of things happening around the world. It's being manipulated. It's being orchestrated. Not just for Los Angeles.
Conflict control.
Conflict control.
There's been more wars since the creation of the United Nations.
People need to wake up and discover who is running their government, what the symbols of government mean, what these emblems mean. When they see the national coat of arms, the flags, the emblems, the seals, the symbols, all of these things mean something. Educate yourself. Find out where it came from.
Yes, sir.
That's the only hope I see for the human race, is the human race itself waking up to find.
That's
they
pretty
create
legit.
chaos.
Real quick, Jules, do you know who this is or something? You sound like you
Jordan
made a comment
Maxwell.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's
Tell us
amazing,
about it. I've never
right?
heard of the guy. I don't know.
He was a student of Manly P. Hall. He was like, he's like a red pill daddy.
Yep,
Yeah, dude.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant mind.
Yeah,
And,
brilliant.
I've learned a lot from that guy over the years. But
Me too.
But I will say, there is nothing more accurate as far as that statement. You know what I mean? And it is up to us. Like, we have to
And it
recognize the patterns.
Yeah. And it's something unique about these certain, like I was kind of driving at certain issues where there is a genuine, area where you're like, okay. And it is because, like, as I'm driving it, they've literally monopolized whatever that given industry is. Whether it comes to borders, because obviously if everything was privatized, you would have your own private area, and then it would just kind of be like, no, you can't come in my area. And you're like, you could try that other area over there. That's somebody else's area. Maybe they're cool with it. And this kind of solves all the problems. And the same deal kind of comes to security, where you take this issue where you create a government and you essentially, we're here to protect you guys and your rights. You're like, okay, well, cool. So then that kind of, in a certain sense, kind of excludes any sort of private security. I mean, not really necessarily excludes it, but you're being stolen from, and money is being taken from you to fund a security force. And so it's kind of like you're at the very least being put at a disadvantage. Yes, you can hire your own private security, but you're being stolen from for private security. So I guess it's not truly monopolized, but essentially you're being stolen from for a service of security. So it's kind of almost like you may as well take it. And most people are in a situation where you can't afford your own private security aside from maybe like a gun or something. So when you see a situation where in the public land where violence is occurring, it is kind of like, well, okay, this seems like this would be 100% your area. And they go, yeah, it is. And then they go do abhorrent things and find ways to manipulate this to get their agenda in place.
Yep. That's exactly what, we're dealing with here. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes down to who's fueling the unrest, right? It's like you're seeing both sides benefit. Right. As far as the political spectrum, in my mind, the duality, the delusion as it plays out and before our eyes, I think that, as is always the case, they need the other side, right? And to effectively, of course, allow the kayfabe to set in. And this is what I think we basically are witnessing in real time, is kind of the positioning of the political puppets. Because in reality, they're playing upon our heartstrings, and I personally,
you see Loomer stumping for Palantir?
My God, like that, it's just like.
And you see all the tweets of her, like months ago, just being like, "Look at the, Palantir is going to destroy the right," and you're like, "You fucking piece of shit."
Yep.
Like, yeah, all right, we know what it's about. That fucking stars are screaming at us.
Yeah, exactly. Isaac Cappy was right. Laura Loomer is definitely compromised. I think obviously, yeah.
I guess to be fair, we don't know, but let's be real. I don't fucking know. You can look at her and say pretty comfortably.
I gotta find it. Here we go.
The bitch close.
You'll love this shit. So this is Laura Loomer, and her as far as just, she would like everyone to know. Okay, please. She would like everyone to know,
man,
who she represents and what club she belongs to. Okay.
Isn't that Milo?
Where's the picture? Milo. Where's the picture of her with? Where's the picture of her with Hillary Clinton? It's around here somewhere.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
But either way.
It's crazy how she
you get the point, right?
Yeah.
I
don't know. She's always, for the moment, I've never really followed her stuff that much to begin with, but the moment I even realized who this person was, I'm like, this bitch is a contrived cunt. So it's like, it's very clear.
Man.
Maybe she's not 100% a fucking glowy, but like at the very least, she's either just like a dumb enough bitch to kind of just go along with that shit. I don't know. At the very least, she's effectively no different than a glowy. So like, whatever, So,
dude,
yeah.
Look at this footage too, because there's definitely fires that have been set all around LA during the riot. Which, Los Angeles, right? Like that's the same exact feeling that I was getting from, as far as from the LA fires themselves, right? Just in terms of the staged consequences and obvious manufactured reaction here, but
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. But I saw that I noticed those all that brush and how it looked dry. You might have a better grip on Cali. Is that the what the wildlife is like right now, or because it's kind of like I was looking at it, it's like that looks like a tinder box.
That's what it is almost all the time. There's after like the rainy season, that's basically we have like a couple months in the winter time, like January, February, we actually get a little bit of rain. and then everything just glows green for 2 weeks, and then it's fucking dead again. It's crazy, but it is definitely the way it was. And I remember when I drove past the Getty Museum after the last big fires, just torched, dude. Like the entire landscape, the hillsides, everything, all the way down to the freeway.
I was about to say, you guys are prone to fucking fires.
That's what I mean. So
yeah.
starting fires out here.
The reason why I mentioned that is, I'm not gonna lie, my knee jerk immediately when I saw that video was like, oh, that's like a couple little brush on fire. And then I looked at it, I'm like, wait, I see, because I mean, I'm kind of like thinking it from my perspective, like whatever, someone set a couple fucking little mine, but I'm looking at it like then it's just nothing but that like yellow fucking overgrown brush, and I'm like, oh, that could easily catch and kind of just spread. And if that is what the what it's like all over the place, then yeah, what are they saying in there? You're bringing up these chats. I thought it was for a reason. But yeah, point being is that they could easily catch on. So because it's kind of like that dry brush. So I'm like that. While I did immediately kind of was like, then I was like, okay, actually that could be bad. So yeah, that could easily take off if that's what what it's like around there. So. Mostly fireless arson.
Yeah, that's a banger.
Yeah. Okay. Well. All right. I think it's fair to say, they're legit. Are riots going on?
Even then, I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's crazier than that because you have these advocates for these immigration riots that are very much obviously they're clearly clandestine assets that have been put into position domestically and are just playing out their role. And much of this has been organized by those government assets. And I believe that is clearly obvious and proven out in terms of the individual on top of the vehicle with the Mexican flag. Because it's crazy. You look into who this individual was. Like, he has been doing this since the early 2000s. There are actual articles of individuals who are directly involved, who organized at least some of the on-the-ground organized protests that then, of course, led into violent riots. And it seems as if at least a few of them are directly affiliated with the intelligence apparatus. And it looks like it gets even crazier because apparently this individual by the name of Pablo Alvarado, if you look into this guy, and Monica Perez actually posted about this because it blew my mind. She's 100% right on this. She said that he's clearly the face of the protests in this moment, and he traces all the way back to Luis Olivares, who in turn traces to Cesar Chavez.
Wait, are you telling me this protest movement is not organic?
This is what I'm saying.
I don't. Is there any sort of precedent for such a thing? Because this seems like a revolutionary concept.
Right.
I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean literally, like, basically every single fucking one ever? Oh, okay.
Exactly. That is not. And Liam,
like, not even kidding.
Right.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Nothing.
Which, by the way, go check out this guy's art. This guy does fucking phenomenal
he's
art.
great.
This guy's on Instagram. So
agreed.
It's like I fucking love that shit. I all the time just kind of fucking get stoned and just sit there just scrolling through his shit.
I think it's
beautiful.
Well, yeah, agreed. He's a very cool guy too, but he's 100% right. Like, nothing in this moment. If you believe there are grassroots movements that are organic and authentic and genuine, you don't understand how power works. It's clearly going to be infiltrated at the very least at the leadership level. And if it hasn't been infiltrated at the leadership level, then in my mind, there's no doubt about it. It was more than likely entirely manufactured out of whole cloth, right? To fit the purpose. And so, dude, not only does it trace to Cesar Chavez, as far as Pablo Alvarado and this interesting asset in place for the domestic LA riots of 2025, this is pivotal. Like, this is a pivotal government operation. This is precedent setting. And on the side
Palantir. I'm not kidding. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's like, sorry. I mean, you look at what Palantir is, look at the people they've influenced, and just kind of all of this, and just kind of you start to lose your mind. Even to go so far as even like the Elon crash out the other day. Like obviously, okay, sure, maybe that was organic or whatever. I don't know. It's you can never know. But if you look at Teal and Elon, they go back. Like I mean, if you know this, like it's just like you're like, dude,
you
what
tell
the
Trump
fuck?
like,
It's like
you fuck kids, Donald.
Yeah, exactly, right?
No, wow, man.
Which is wild. And it's like but then you look at his connections with Teal, and then Teal's influence within the administration, you're like, what is going on here? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like and especially when you add into the fact that like they have weird like old German, it seems like royalty, some sort of connections of some sort. There's weird prophecies about Elon, and you're like, dude, what the fuck is going on here?
For
like,
real.
But we have
Technocracy Incorporated, which we all should be aware of by now, right? And clearly, the wet dream of the leftists in this moment. What at the very least, in terms of the political duality, the delusion before our eyes, I believe that this positions the leftists and the progressives to fall into their trap, which is very much extremely convenient, and the timing of it is just, I don't believe in coincidence anymore. You know what I mean? And so I do believe that this will embolden Gavin Newsom. Obviously, he's I think that this is by design in order to sort of like help with the optics. And obviously kind of how he's presented to the public in the first place. Like if you give him the opportunity, right? Just like you give your political puppets the opportunity to kind of, what did he say? There's a super famous line going around right now that he just told Trump, put me in handcuffs, something to that effect. So he's basically stepping up to the plate saying me versus Trump, right? And he's calling all of these policies of effectively utilizing the military in this moment authoritarian, and in every way, at the very least, this is providing a victory for them politically. And the same goes for the right. The same goes for the conservatives, because no one is going to all of a sudden change their principles and fall out of line with the establishment narrative because of the LA riots 2025. If anything, it will further entrench these individuals with their political ideology in the prison that they reside in, where they unfortunately can't break out of, because they have no idea that they have shackles on, right? And they can't seem to objectively pursue the truth in any real facet of reality itself.
It's severe brainwashing.
It's mind control. It's
100%.
Right? Yeah.
100%.
And then to finish that point I made, though, that Monica tweeted about, it's crazy. It's not only trace him to Cesar Chavez. This dude, Alvarado, he fronts the National Day Laborers Organization, this organizing network, National Day Laborers Organizing Network, which happened to get its start alongside the Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights, founded by the Ford Foundation. Here we are, surrounded by spooks once again.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is problem, reaction, solution. I just... we got to stop falling into the traps. Ideology is it's such a tool utilized to exploit leverage against us, and
it's so stupid too. Like, I mean, have you not? I mean, as I always bring up over and over again, like as I mean with immigration with Israel, but like even with Palantir, I've already seen the signaling for a while before we even got to this point, where so many rightoids, the conservative retards, so just kind of everything in the bag. These there's been illusions of Palantir or technocracy or whatever, and you've seen, many of these talking heads kind of push back. Oh, well, how else are we going to take care of immigration, or how else are we going to do X, Y, and Z? And a lot of times being things that there might be some sort of credible reason for whatever issue it is. But it's like, okay, cool. They find the credible reason, and then they take a mountain and or take a molehill and make a mountain out of it. So it's like, I mean, I don't know. It is concerning, and I think people should be concerned. And I mean, this is even more reason for concerning. Here's a video of JD Vance here that I figured we'd play. I'm not sure if this is the one where he kind of goes into. Huh?
I just thought it's hard to ignore the checkered floor. All the. Why do you lean into this shit, Theo? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like I already.
I watched this, or at least some of it. I think I watched like half of it. and that was that Kid Rock's thing. So I don't know. Maybe it was intentional. I struggle. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving Theo. Maybe he's just this crazy. It's like maybe Theo is like the. I know when it gets into
so much, dude.
When you get into Theo and like whether he's controlled op, that's like it reminds me of like the theory in Star Wars where like Jar Jar Binks is a Sith. Like, he's like have you ever heard that theory? That's like the same theory to me that like when parapolitics heads get into like, okay, well let's talk about Theo Von's father, and then look at these check marks on the Kid Rock's floor. And you're like, okay, maybe, but it's like it is kind of like, are we saying that Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord behind it all? Like, maybe it's almost like so retarded. It's kind of fucking genius. So it's like, I don't know. He is kind of the perfect cover
for
like,
sure. But what's crazy is just like you cannot, you can't even program that style of humor. You know what I mean? That style of comedy. Like, he's so unique. He's so special and unique.
That's why it's literally like if Jar Jar Binks is a Sith. You're like, how the fuck? Like, this is like such another level of absurdity. Where like it's almost like you're literally utilizing the Force or some shit. For like such another level of like. Because the idea with like if Jar Jar was such a klutz and so crazy, but he's literally just utilizing the Force, like that's almost the same thing you're saying with Theo Von. Like, he's such a goofball, but it's this weird like drunken monkey kung fu style kind of like goofball. Like, he's just like, oh no, he's in perfect control. He's just being but like, no, come on, let's be real.
Right.
Like, I don't know, maybe he really is some Masonic controlled with generational wealth or whatever. But I don't fucking know.
Right. Now I will say the only part that did, as far as like, I think it's important to at least consider, is the idea that obviously, like, well, first of all, it's hard to ignore like the strange handshakes with Tucker Carlson and people of that nature, right? Which it's like, man, what is it feels like a fraternal organization, just as far as like the way individuals behave and interact with each other. But
wait, is that a thing going around? We've seen strange handshakes. I'm not even like, I'm just
yeah,
curious.
just
like,
the
seriously, I want to
Freemasonic
be tagging
handshake.
that stuff.
Yeah, the Freemasonic handshake, which I believe Tucker and Trump did together, even if I remember correctly.
Maybe I'm not as deep in the lore. What's that one supposed to be? What's
it's
unique
this specific with your finger. It's like basically it's let me pull it up so you can actually see it. But it's important because at the very least,
your ring finger on their taint as you shake their hand.
You're right. Exactly. But no, I what I do think is interesting is at least the idea, and we kind of talked about it on whatever this is recently, is the notion that the upward mobility, right? It's like only certain people get canceled and are granted the benefit of upward mobility and gain even more notoriety and popularity, but also how certain individuals. Now, Theo might be extremely talented and very uniquely, just as far as his comedy is concerned, he is clearly a very unique mind. But let's say, if he were a member of any other family, right, had any other sort of, let's say less than privileged as far as your upbringing and potential connections due to your familial connections, right, which that alone could potentially kind of pave the way for an easier rise, which I think people have to at least consider. And that was kind of what Sam mentioned the other day, was just the fact that, like, basically, I think it was even in this context, but I can't remember now. But yeah, we were discussing Theo and essentially just, if it were true, it makes sense how certain individuals are kind of put into these positions, and it's a little bit of a more convenience and
opens doors. So you're sorry,
yeah,
you're something you can tap into. So it's like not even saying that he's necessarily. And I think this is kind of what you're saying. He's not even saying that Theo is necessarily even aware or anything, that he's just there. And it's like, even if it's just this generational component that like people are like, this is something that we have some degree of leverage or some possibility to tap into. He may not be aware of it all. It may not even be successful. It just is a matter of the degrees of control. And it's just this system of that, like, it's just kind of like, because of family that opened the door, but also because of family, you may be more likely to have leverage to be used against you. Maybe not, because it's like, I don't think it's a perfectly controlled system. So Theo Von could have had those doors open for him while not really having any sort of reasonably good leverage on him. Because just like, whatever, he had some weird fucking generational wealth dude who nutted in some, waitress or some shit. Right. I mean, what the fuck are you going to do with that?
And then
hey, open doors for him. That's cool.
Family. Yeah, exactly. He's old as shit too, right?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't his dad like off in South America for a certain amount of time?
Some weird shit like that. Yeah,
crazy shit. But it just, I 100% agree that it doesn't necessarily. Now, I do believe that there's something to it, but I mean, as far as like being a compromised asset who is, the timing of him kind of warming to the sympathy and in terms of the Gaza genocide, right? Like, just all of it. It's very interesting. It's at the very least, and you have to consider as well, like you have a platform of that size and magnitude. Who knows as far as the individuals and what they're willing to put at risk, right? As far as just having a position, a political position on any given subject. I mean, you're running a risk unless you've been entirely just an entirely open book from day one, and you clearly have nothing to hide, right? Then yeah, but I mean, even then, it's like most people don't overshare their opinions. They try and kind of, at the very least, have some sort of control of the presentation in a sort of way where it's not just entirely improvised like I am in this very moment. Right. But I'm just saying, like, you would like to have a better conceptual understanding of the ideas you would like to present before you go in. And I think most people who have, let's say, a very lucrative platform that is extremely prominent in this sort of alternative media landscape, then yeah, you're going to have a lot less of those individuals willing to kind of have a position unless they already are entirely benefiting from one side or the other. That's typical in my mind, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. At least like you it's the age-old Michael Jordan statement, right? Like, what are you talking about? Republicans buy sneakers too. Like, why would I take a position? No.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same thing that Patrick Mahomes is doing right now. Like, I would rather not. And I think that that's probably a good idea if you're talking about being an influential celebrity of some kind. But
yeah.
Who knows?
All right, let's play this video real quick. I kind of want to play this with you guys. I know there was a couple interesting ones. I think this is the one where he just kind of goes into like, oh, do I own teal or owe teal anything? I know there's another clip that I was kind of looking for that kind of goes into like what Palantir even is. He kind of goes into, oh, it's just kind of connecting other databases that already exist and kind of creating a unified thing, which I'm like, okay, maybe there's some fair argument to be had. It still sketches me the fuck out. But let's play this clip.
Dude.
Yeah.
So it costs a lot of money to run for office, and you got to go and raise money.
Yeah.
But I think that if your attitude is, I owe something, these people gave me money, then you're going to end up being corrupted. And you've got to kind of take the attitude of, they're supporting me because they agree with me. And obviously, like, you have conversations with them. Like you mentioned Peter Thiel. I see a lot of crazy stuff on the internet about Peter Thiel.
Like his fucking boyfriend, boy toy, fucking fell out of what, like the second, third floor window out of a former Bronfman's house who were involved in the Nexium cult. But I digress.
He's always been a friend of mine. He's always been one of the smartest people I've ever met. Like, just a very thoughtful dude. But he's literally never asked me once for anything.
But I decided to be a Catholic on his account, and like I've decided to kind of just like my whole life just kind of followed his path and my entire political career. But
so he just believed in you?
He believed in me. He agreed with me on a lot of issues. I mean, he definitely has like said, hey, I don't agree with you on this, but he's never said, I don't agree with you on this, therefore you should vote differently or act differently.
Yeah, I've been saying for the past week, it just kind of clicked with me. This dude's white Obama. That's what he is. I mean, I'll give it to him. If I believed his shtick, he's fucking great. And honestly, he's lovable. I struggle not to be like, dude, you're cool. I like to hang out with you. All the memes, like, dude, this guy is fucking lovable. He's likable. And like all the leaks that we get about he's like the hero of the group. Although we say he's a hero group, it's like, yeah, okay, but what was the mortal courage you said here that like, maybe Europe should do our murdering. Like, okay, cool, dude.
Right.
So it's like, but it is still like he is likable. But it is funny because of the juxtaposition in this weekend. There were two main things that happened: him on Theo Vaughn, and then Kash Patel on fucking Rogan. And these were two diametric opposites. Both, I think, are scum, controlled, fucking. But JD Vance, man, it's I watch this podcast. I enjoy it. I like him. It's fun. It's a good conversation. Kash, it feels awkward the entire time.
Dude,
you
so
don't
scared.
like.
He's just like
they've got fucking guns trained on his fucking family right now. Not even family. He doesn't even have family. He has a girlfriend who fucking works for Prager, a fucking Hasbro organization.
It's so funny. Like, talk about the emperor wears no clothes. Like, we are in a moment, right? That's sort of, I don't know. It's uncharted territory in a way. You know what I mean? And when you look at Palantir, clear, obvious CIA front, plain as day, right? I mean, they got their original funding from the venture capital firm of the CIA, and you have them harvesting genetic data from even the CDC center was like effectively they announced that that basically Palantir was harvesting American data on genetics through the septic systems, right? And basically, I found that so interesting.
Sorry,
it made a lot.
I just had a dawning. I just realized we hadn't even talked about the fucking Teal Epstein shit in the past week. That just rung my. That is like 100% up our alley. The idea that what is it like? He invested like 40 million and he like 4x his investment, and like literally his ex-girlfriends and business partners of Epstein.
Yeah.
You mean the people who didn't end up getting indicted as the Epstein network? Literally, the Epstein network has made money during this period of time. 4x their investment.
The Epstein estate is just raking it in on Palantir, which is so crazy that, but it's, I mean, look at his connections to Ambrosia, man. Like, honestly, I don't think those are coincidental things. Like, just the Ambrosia connection, dude.
By the way, Jules, go ahead and open up those lines. Go on, sorry, D'Amico. Go ahead and open those phone lines. But go ahead, bud.
Yeah, no, you're good, dude. It's crazy to me because you have this. The fact of the matter is, you have Teal, who's claiming that he's like financing this. What was it called? This crazy ass
boy pussy.
No, it was but it was obviously these blood transfusions, right? That were through this original company that was deemed to be unlawful, right? That they were acting in as far as like they were actually harvesting this blood in an unlawful way, and they were basically.
I didn't know this because I mean, I always feel like when Ambrosia comes up, I feel a little bit like always feel a little bit like a faggot, and like, well, it's technically not adrenochrome, because I always feel like, well, they're taking the blood from the young. You're like, oh, they're just like transfusions. I mean, it's so weird. But I didn't know there was an unethical blood acquisition component to the first iteration of this thing. What the fuck?
Sure.
All right, elaborate, please.
Yeah. So basically, there's this original company before it was Ambrosia, right? This original company was like Angel. It was crazy because it had the name Angel in it, which I found interesting to begin with. But you look into this a little bit at a deper level, and you realize
Sorry, real quick. Valor Ventures. While I still have them in mind, that is the name. And I had a little. I mentioned it. Went on Morning Dump this week. That is the name of the enterprise that the Epstein funded of Teal's. Valar Ventures. VALAR. For anyone who is this ties into the Palantir and Andrew Ill and some of the other fucking like names they have. It's an other Lord of the Rings thing. The Valar were the literal gods. They were essentially I guess you could say like the top tier Nephilim, like the original like Generation 1 Nephilim of Tolkien's work. Essentially, like the Valar were the gods on Earth. There was Ero Iluvatar, who was the one true god, but the Valar were like his emissaries to Earth, essentially demigods. You could say Nephilim, whatever. But I did find that particularly interesting that the venture that the Epstein network is 4x off of and was named that. And then we have Palantir, which is so, I don't know. It's just, especially when you know the symbolism of the Lord of the Rings book, you're like, yo, dog, what the fuck?
That's so hilarious.
Go on.
My God, no, it's fine, buddy. I thought it was crazy because the FDA obviously they were forced to issue a warning to Ambrosia after all of this was proven out, that essentially that he had financed this angel, this investment in this angel organization that was effectively the precursor to this Ambrosia Incorporated, which effectively was harvesting teenage blood, and this was all in an effort for him to extend his lifespan, which was a goal of his at the time. And he said he was essentially, terrified of death, and at the very least he wanted to see it. He believed that there were legitimate, right, like scientific, at which we clearly at this point we're very aware of the fact that these blood transfusions for older individuals who are given younger blood, it's typical that this is very much the exact science of what adrenochrome effectively really is, except adrenochrome, obviously there's the aspect of the adrenaline, right? Which I think that this is different in the harvesting of the younger blood, because clearly in terms of an actual sadistic network that's attempting to harvest, or just say a criminal enterprise, then you would have a more potent, clearly a more potent chemical substance that would be psychoactive if you had the adrenaline gland pumping in that moment, right? As far as the moment that the blood was harvested, because then you have this stream of adrenaline pumping through the blood. And so that is when they effectively will, and of course the adrenaline gland itself is harvested at times when you consider like actual ritual murders and what they utilize in terms of the enterprise. Like that's why so many of the Atlanta child murders, the children, their bodies weren't even recovered, or they were so let's say just what's the term, that they were either burned, extensively burned, right, to the extent to where they could barely even be identified, to where you have actual local cops who are, there's a story of local PD flipping a coin to decide which of the victims the body would belong to. It's just like mind-blowing stuff. But anyway, the point here is that basically Ambrosia was issued a warning by the FDA and effectively was closed right afterward, which I found very interesting. They had to kind of like reorganize themselves and try and relaunch as a new entity, and but they seem to be sort of back in business in a certain way, and they were the ones charging.
Blood Industries now, guys. Don't worry about it. No,
right.
Nothing sinister here. That's not the literal lead villain of the Tolkien's whatever.
Right.
Which, okay, obviously I'm joking. That's not actually what they called it, but it's just crazy. Like, if anyone knows what a Palantir is a seeing stone that was influenced by Sauron's evil fucking influence. It literally fucking is like literally has evil fucking connotation to it. So it's like, it is insane. It is insane. And I guess the Valar is a little bit less clear, but I feel like that's implying kind of like, hey, we are gods kind of deal. Like it's like what it's implying.
We got some people that want to come up.
Yeah, bring those fuckers on, Julius. That's what you got, baby boy.
Ass Cream is going to come on first. Then we're going to bring your mom on and anyone else who wants to come on. So,
yeah.
Ass Cream. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it's fine. What's up, dude?
Yeah.
Also, first I want to say is thank you for taking the time to answer my question. Been a fan for a long time and just recently joined the Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
As a person who lived in Los Angeles for over 30 years, specifically in the Beverly Hills, West Hollywood adjacent area, before I moved to Florida during the COVID area.
Hell yeah.
Leading up to the BLM riots and COVID, I saw, the writing on the tea leaves, what was happening. I warned my family specific about the BLM riots, and they're like, listen, it's not going to be like the 92 riots. You're overreacting. They did apologize since then because, they saw what happened and they were affected, based off of extra traffic from, rioters and vandalism, et cetera, et cetera. I recently warned my family that are still there in Los Angeles that the Saturday's No Kings protest is happening, and they're basically just sweeping it under the rug. And where I look to where they live, there's a lot of protests around them, and they're like, it's not going to be as bad as BLM. That was like a once in a couple of decade kind of thing. So, what do you think you would do to advise your liberal family to wake the fuck up and just take a little extra caution and precaution for while being there?
That's all you, Austin. I have nothing to contribute to that question.
Hey, buddy. I'm basically the retard out here in LA. The rest of my family's back in Northwest Arkansas, so they're largely unaffected by most of this. But I will say, any sort of overexposure of individual family members who might be out here and experiencing something like this, like, I just say keep your head on a swivel and try and stay off the 101. There's clearly areas that I think that are far more like implicated in being a staged sort of now obviously you have a natural genuine sort of like reactionary environments in certain neighborhoods that are extremely consistent in terms of how they typically react. But I will say and I the only reason I say that is because, I mean, come on, where are the Rooftop Korean niggas at, right? Like, isn't that this is like the funniest thing of all time when you consider the '92 riots?
Did you see Tiffany Fogg's post about that? Where
that was so funny, though. Like, yeah, I know, right?
Okay,
But
it's stupid, but that's the one. Isn't that the
But
same one
it-
that Elon tried to come in and she said no, and then her engagement immediately plummeted?
Right. Yeah, but
So-
I just it looks like legitimately, I would say, first of all, I wouldn't be caught dead at a protest. Like, I think you're running a major risk anytime. I don't know. I just think, first of all, like, what does it actually accomplish? And second, all you're doing is putting yourself into a position where something might actually take place, as far as just an escalation of tension. You're going to have obvious political actors involved, and you're going to have this clearly in terms of this specific environment, political environment, they want there to be violence, right? And as far as just, you're going to have both sides of the political aisle being perfectly represented. But I think that's why the police were effectively told to stand down. One, they didn't have the personnel to actually stand up to some of these mobs because they're actually extremely large in certain areas. And then also, it seems as if they wanted this to occur in terms of the reaction. They wanted a military presence. You had Gavin Newsom himself even predict this. He predicted this on the 7th, I think, like a few days ago. He already predicted that obviously the military would come in. And I think that in every way, this is just problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic playing out before our eyes. And so I say, withdraw, opt out of the, clearly, obviously, if your home is in the neighborhood where this is popping off, good luck. But, at that point, it's like you better take some precautionary measures, and even then think about long-term solutions. And I think that anytime things like this happen, especially when the LA fires were happening, like, it just reminds me, like, this is temporary. Right. And if I don't get out of here sooner rather than later, I'm running a risk, just in general, in terms of my lifestyle. And sort of, I definitely think you're out of your mind if you attempt to have children here. Right. And that is in no way a goal of mine. So, that's another thing you have to consider. But yeah, I don't know what advice to give anyone who's a leftist, and because I will say that, unfortunately, like, I am seeing, and there are far more illegals than I think people realize, honestly. Like, there are many, right?
Yeah,
You come in
Los Angeles
contact
is
with them
Mexico,
every day.
man.
Exactly. I mean, it really, basically, but that's why, like, I just see people on a daily basis who are directly affected, whether it's their grandparents, whether it's, there's definitely some skin in the game. And this is definitely causing a visceral reaction. I will say that. And there will be political consequences. And it's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate because, again, it's just, this is dystopian. It is a fast track to totalitarian technocratic state, and why else call for Palantir to come in and over police the immigration crisis that was entirely manufactured? The intelligence apparatus is working hand in hand with the border agents. They've been smuggling methamphetamine. They've been smuggling fentanyl, Chinese fentanyl over the border using the cartels for how long? So it's like, I am under no just delusion and misconception that I won't say there aren't individual actors at the lowest levels of the state that mean well, might just be unfortunately just ideologically captured or maybe just intellectually ignorant in certain ways, but there are just genuine actors involved who do have the best interest at heart. They just are kind of, I think they're being entirely just misdirected, right? And that is by design. It is the ideological subversion playing out in real time. And so it's just unfortunate, man. Because I see the polar opposites. They're both falling into the traps, reacting as they are intended to. And we sit here on the outside looking in, seeing all these ridiculous examples that clearly are far more than coincidence. And if you can't acknowledge and just identify a staged false flag psychological operation, that doesn't mean that each individual actor who's being exploited and at an individual level based on their political ideology is involved coherently. I think they're very much just kind of compromised.
Hey, Ass Cream, there's someone named Nicholas Lee who's watching. He had left a comment. He says, tell your leftist family to watch the Real Timeline documentary by Miriam Hennon. Or
yes, gentlemen, I've tried many times, showing proof in the pudding, giving them evidence, but then the thing is, they're like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, even though at the time I'm being right. When it comes back to the whole Rooftop Korean situation, the tipping point for me to move to Florida during the beginning, besides the COVID vaccine, which was mandated by my company, and then the moment I moved to Florida, that was kicked out, was because Rooftop Koreans no longer work. Because there's been a lot of laws that have been passed in California to where now, even if you're shooting someone in self-defense at home, what's it called? You're still going to get arrested. You're still going to go to jail and stuff like that. And when I was living, like I said, in the West Hollywood area, I put on my bulletproof vest. I had my AK and all that other stuff, and I went to the roof, and the neighbors called the police on me. And when the police came over, they gave me a warning, and they said, "Listen, you're inciting extra, the rioters and stuff like that." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Me standing on the roof. This is the only building on our street, that hasn't been defeated and stuff like that." But yet,
you're a provocateur.
I was told to go back. So
wow,
crazy. It's just batshit fucking crazy. And again, I love my family. I feel bad for them. They don't realize this, but it's a severe shame that
yes, sir.
it's how Yuri Bezmenov says. Once people are subverted, black, you can't convince that black is white or white is black, and just it's very.
So you
important.
could take their fat ass to the concentration camp in Soviet Russia, right, and show them, right, and they still. What did he say? He said we could take them. He said we could take them to, just a U.S. citizen, to the concentration camp in the Soviet Union and put a boot up his ass and show him what actually is taking place. And they still would not actually change their ways because they're so ideologically subverted and captured that it's impossible for them to see what is playing out before their eyes. And when you're insulated from reality to that extent, what hope is there for you as an individual? You have to make that. It's a tragic scenario, man. And I do agree with you. I think this is the militarized police state playing out as well, right? What you just mentioned, there is no world today that we live in where the rooftop Koreans can exist and actually take their individual sovereignty, right, for themselves and defend their rights and their families and their business. That couldn't actually play out today. They've made certain of that because we are headed in this dystopian direction unabated, right? It's like, and I think that this is why I love this show so much, man. Schizo Bros, right? Like, it's just, we have the ability to, at the very least, we can kind of just dip our toes into these various aspects of these false narratives, right? And mischaracteristics and misconceptions entirely manufactured by the state or by these individual entities that are clearly entirely subverted and compromised by secret fraternal organizations, let's say, or even so it's just at a certain level. I think the Constitution is just really been entirely just compromised and overruled, and even that is like a foundational document. It's just been entirely kind of leveraged and exploited to their own benefit in terms of the state and kind of how they interpret things, right? As far as just the documentation, interpretation of the documents, and how the laws are kind of obviously clearly they are implemented in this very much authoritarian measures as far as the way they're implemented in real time as well on the sort of on the ground. But I don't know. It's like just the matter of fact is when we can go from the LA riots, right, to Peter Thiel and Epstein and Ambrosia and kind of just discuss these various aspects of ritualistic snuff as films being utilized in an established enterprise, and it all kind of just provides another window into a different layer of this clandestine reality that is very much covertly been manufactured, that is the sort of entity responsible for the smoke and mirrors. And that is why you can have an entity or an individual like a Peter Thiel go on Joe Rogan, right, after he's accepted as far as just, what was it, Jeffrey Epstein invested $40 million, right, with Palantir.
160 million payoff.
And
so far.
Wow. And he goes on to Rogan and says that Thiel, as far as he says that Epstein had nothing to do with Israel, right? Which was just like the funniest thing to ever watch play out. Like,
not a biased statement at all.
Yeah, which clearly he said personally. Like, what did he say? He said he defers to Israel, right, at all times. Isn't that?
Well, I would just say, well, in this situation,
Right.
we would, I'd take my international partners,
But even that-
like Israel, and I'd
basically
defer
what
to
he
their
does.
judgment
While he's sweating his ass off.
in this moral situation.
It's 100% what he did, and he's sweating his ass off the whole time. Did you see Nick Fuentes actually? He posted this. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh yeah,
About, why was he so protected?
It's so short.
And then I went I went down all these rabbit holes. Was he working for the
ghoul.
Israelis or the Mossad or all
Look at
this
his
sort of
hair.
stuff?
Whenever I watched this, I stopped it. I was like, does this motherfucker think it's like Dennis and It's Always Sunny? He's like, oh, cool. I'm Superman, right? I'm Clark Kent, right? Like, remember, you look like Clark Kent. And he's like, oh, right on. Like, dude, why does your hair look that black?
And I've come to think that was very secondary. It was obviously it was just the U.S. If you're working for Israel, you don't get protected. We had Jonathan Pollard. He went to jail for 25 years or whatever.
What a ridiculous example.
And
but unrelated.
That's a face
Right.
of man who's
Understood,
dark things.
But it's
But this is one particular operation.
But it was if it was an intelligence operation, the question we should be asking is what part of the U.S. intelligence
right
based on
system was he
reasons.
working for? Was he about why
Isn't
was
that
he
amazing? It's just so
yeah, we should be
ridiculous.
looking at the U.S. because of reasons. It doesn't even give like a supporting reason. Just no, you should be looking at the U.S.
It's terrible. Like,
It's
this
awful.
guy is just laughable at face value. You could just kind of dismiss this guy, and I have no understanding how people. Well, at the very least, I will say that the amount of press coverage that the Peter Thiel connection is receiving in this moment, hey, that's something, right?
Dude, Theo Vaughn fucking straight up asked down his goofy way with like that clip I showed. That was Theo straight up asked it. So it's like, okay, to be fair, okay. I mean, you see the way JD reacted, perfectly fine, but he had to answer the question. So like, and he asked him a few other ones. I mean, I'll probably cover this tomorrow or something like that. There's a clip about him talking about like genocide in Gaza, and so he got him on some stuff. I'm like, hey, you got him on the record saying some shit. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, he handled it well, so props to him. Cash is an entirely different story. I know some of the chat just said, "Oh, Rogan's an intelligence front."
Everyone but more, I mean, with Cash Patel, I thought that was a totally bullshit thing. You should have continued to push, like, especially when they were like, "Oh yeah, we're redacting documents, so victims aren't spared." But it's like, okay, fucking put a black screen on it or a sensor on the fucking thing. I want to see, who are all these people. But unfortunately, it's like. I immigrated from a communist country, St. Petersburg, Russia, and it's just like, we left communist Russia after the fall of communism, and I'm seeing like what's happening here, and it's just like, we give too much hope to the government. As much as I love Trump and I want to support him, I think he's dropping the ball on so many fucking things, and
he's not here to save us, man.
And fuck all this shit.
No, he's not here to save us.
No, he's
it would be nice.
doing his thing. I mean,
white hats and the black hats, but they both still wear hats. You know what I mean?
Well, I will say it was kind of as far as did you see Alan Dershowitz, right? He's calling for Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah. She's a victim.
That has to be bullshit, though, right? I mean, like, come on. I think it's just for publicity, or like, it's handle for the Democrats to be like, oh, he's gonna, to avoid the Epstein files or some shit like that,
Yeah, it would be a real bad, as far as just optics alone, it would be a terrible move as far as the Trump administration. I can't imagine that would happen, but you never know. And I will say the fact that Dershowitz himself attempted to basically he was attempting to push for a pardon before her conviction, I believe, is also something else that he was attempting to do. But what he did say that I found interesting was that he said not only that Trump should pardon Ghislaine, but he also said that she should get a commutation because she was in part a victim of Epstein, which is just like the framework of that narrative is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, she's procuring children for him.
Yeah, it does feel like PR, like Ask Cream.
It does.
Said. It does. I mean,
in a way,
I will say though, like while I say it is just PR, it's like, but had that got thrown out and people were like, oh, okay, like I mean, he also would have been like, he would have completely gone for it. So while it is just floating out and there probably was no chance, it is I would think it's probably at the very least a flaccid attempt at shifting the Overton window in that way. Which it's not going.
But there was a phone call apparently between Dershowitz and and I didn't know this, but as far as how it played out, he's talking about essentially just he brought up the subject of pardons in a more generic way, and then basically touched on this, and it was discussed as far as there is a Washington Examiner article that talks about. I think it was Ghislaine's brother, and he comes out explaining that essentially, Dershowitz, while he was even during the trial of Ghislaine, he was lobbying Trump at that time as well, as far as just for just to potentially receive a pardon before her conviction, and so it makes sense as far as him kind of making another statement in this moment, and I think that what's more interesting. Hold on. Let me pull it up because I found this crazy. They were basically talking about how potentially they could throw out the conviction at a certain level if she were to win an appeal. And this was interesting to me because it basically said that that there were certain mistakes that were made based on the jurors. And essentially what had happened is that two jurors admitted to multiple outlets that they used their personal experience as victims of sexual abuse to sway fellow jurors. And so basically they didn't put that they had been sexually abused prior to as far as they didn't disclose this during the questionnaire, and the apparently there's a 50 question survey or something that jurors have to fill out. I don't know. But it's still very interesting because you consider Diddy in this moment. Just what are these? Obviously, these are low hanging. Now, Diddy's a little bit of a different example as far as he's not exactly a Jeffrey Epstein or even a Ghislaine Maxwell, because clearly he has celebrity in his back pocket that is, I think, separates him from the other sort of established, he was really a madam in a way, right? He's essentially like running a network of human compromise. And they were definitely, and well, all I will say is I think that the trial is effectively doomed to fail. And I think that all they are going to, and what they have focused entirely on, are the salacious details that really make no difference in terms of the actual charges being levied against him. And so everything that's prioritized as far as what they're presenting to the public, it's all contrived, it's all controlled and manufactured. And I think that they're primarily prioritizing and focusing on those more salacious details and the celebrity names that are implicated, because it misdirects the public consciousness to like an Amber Heard, Johnny Depp style scenario, right? Trial where clearly it's just more of theater playing out as entertainment, more than it's actually dealing with a legitimate network of human compromise and sexual blackmail. So, yeah. Oh, dude, by the way, that note, Epstein, is he dead? Man,
Yeah,
I
for
never
real.
really asked that question, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
honestly believe that, they probably murdered him. He's, clearly
But we
they
don't
hung him
know.
out to dry.
If he was witness protection, we'd know no different.
That's what I mean, right?
So yeah. But
And
with that, sorry, real quick, it's been a minute. We need to swap out calls. Thank you, Ask Cream, for joining us.
I just want to say my goodbye, gentlemen. Thank you for taking the
go
time
for it.
to answer the question. And just as you guys know, which kind of ties up to everything you just said, this is a quote from William Casey, the former director of CIA. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false, which is exactly which I think is happening with everything with Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, et cetera, et cetera. But on
Ask
that note,
Cream. That is my pinned tweet, brother. Like it has been for years, that quote. I think I tweeted mission accomplished, perhaps. And I 100% believe that everything the American public does believe is essentially based in fictional reality, and I appreciate you, man.
yeah, very unfortunate. Again, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time, and didn't mean to take up as much time as
you're good.
I
Oh,
did.
good,
And
brother.
see you guys another time.
Yeah, please join anytime. You didn't take up too much of our time at all.
Nice meeting you, Ask Cream.
Jules, let's bring on the next one. We'll get him in here. Thanks for joining us, Ask Cream. Come on again anytime. It was a pleasure. But we'll bring on the next. Your mom, what it do?
He wanted me to bring something.
What up, dog?
Good evening. Hey guys, Ask Cream's fucking down, dude. One of us.
Yeah, cool, huh?
Just to
One
get
of
this
us.
out before my connection fails. Fuck Israel, and
not
I
a
wanted
fan.
to talk about the No Kings protests.
Okay.
So Jules is bringing that up. So if you scroll down like a third of the way, there's a map that shows over 1,800 planned protests, probably one in your neighborhood.
sick.
And these are all created and distributed by Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin, who founded the Indivisible in 2017. Those names sound conspicuous, don't they?
Every single time.
Well, that's
Every single Stein.
if you've seen Jacob in the back chat, he's been every Berg, Witz, and Stein.
Yeah.
So Jacob just said there's riots in Denver now too, and Atlanta.
And
So this
Atlanta.
shit's kicking off. So if you guys check out that link, yeah, you can
In
see
Chicago.
This
where
is
the
what I
next
can do
protests are
instead of
gonna be.
Bro
So I just
By the way, quick announcement. I'm not going to Bro Grove for those who don't watch my other content for the already dead. Just throwing it out there. But go on. I was being silly. So I'll go to a protest instead.
N-word. I bought tickets and now I don't get to see you, Jose.
I am really, 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 really sorry. I don't know if you saw my morning show. I'm not trying to make
Okay,
tonight about that.
I did. Fuck them.
Okay, cool.
No,
All right, just make
fuck
sure you're in
them.
the
You're
yeah.
good.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you're on the same page because it is what it
So-
is. I'm sorry. I do feel bad for the audience. I feel bad for Toad, but that's frankly about it. So yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Fuck
I
the
found.
feds and
Hey,
fuck those guys.
I found
okay?
the quote earlier that I fucked up that Yuri Bezmenov said. Right.
By the
And
way,
it's
your
poignant.
mom, can you mute us because we're gonna reverb from. You're obviously listening to the stream as we're doing this. If you could,
Nice.
And, yeah.
This is nuts though, because
It's the Jews.
Yeah, it's
Dude.
the Jews.
Basically, a person who is demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. This is what Yuri says. When the military boot crushes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic situation of demoralization. That's just like the tail end of his statement with G. Edward Griffin, basically, when he's responding to a question. But it is amazing. I mean, obviously, he's just working through the various stages. I think it was four stages of ideological subversion. But anyway, you can go ahead, buddy. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought I wanted to make sure I got that quote right.
You're good, bro. So the last thing, no, fucking A. No, that's great. Kaczynski called them over socialized. It's all the same concept, right? It's people that have been so fucking brainwashed and neutralized that you can't even show them true information.
Absolutely. And undereducated, but not in the terms of public education, obviously.
No, they're overeducated there, yeah.
Right, overeducated in the established system of right ideological subversion, but undereducated in terms of reality itself and the power paradigm. And I think that's where, yeah, you have entirely. I mean, you just read through the four stages. We're in it. And what does he say? He says, he basically says that essentially, you know, you can't, if you start right now, here in this minute, you start educating huge generations of America, it will still take you 15 to 20 years to turn the tide of ideological perception of reality back to normalcy and patriotism. The result, you can see. Most of the people who were educated in the 60s, dropouts, half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You're stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information. and even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and illogical behavior. That dude was 100% right. And I mean, there's a reason that he blew the whistle and he defected from the Soviet Union and attempted to tell G. Edward Griffin, by the way, Marxism has been entirely leveraged against the United States population for generations. The slow march through the institution has been achieved. Mm-hmm. The ideological subversion is in effect. Like, it is the dystopian vision that they always dreamed of, right? And I just, man, if you can't see that, you know, then you're not paying attention. You know what I mean? And man, who's this Brent Thompson dude? Go fuck yourself. I'm about to kick this dude out for good. All right, you understand me? You don't want to learn? Go fuck yourself.
Your mom, is there anything more on any specifics about this? What are these? Is there anything so far as, like, you know, informationally, like, what are these? Who are they being organized? Like, any sort of, like, you know, I don't know, use, like, I guess, meaningful information we can derive? Because this is obviously interesting, but I'm just saying, is there anything, what else should we know that you feel like, you from you looking into that, you feel like we should know?
It's the Jays.
Yeah, okay, fair
Just
enough.
kidding.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah.
But dude, so just to piggyback on this, because it ties into what Austin was saying earlier about the Ford Foundation and this Alvarado fuck. So if you look, Eustace Mullins has a really good book. It's something, Those That Rule Over Us. So he goes in really deep and talks about the CFR and how basically the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds have been putting agents in all of these like NGOs since the 50s. And there's a very good example that happened in 1950 where Eleanor Roosevelt basically told the Ford Foundation to support this fucking anti-communist group, which was called, one second, sorry. It was called the Fighting Group. The Fighting Group got a grant from the Ford Foundation for $150,000 in 1950. And that was basically a CIA front for some anti-communist activities. So to connect that to what Austin's saying is that this Alvarado fuck who got funded by the Ford Foundation, which is a CIA cutout and basically CFR, it ties it all together, right? Like there is no separation between the left and the right, dude.
Yep.
This is the
Dialectic.
Club of Rome.
Yep.
This is the Committee of 300. This is the Royal Institute of International Affairs. We are being misdirected.
Capitalism, communism,
This is by,
female, male, up, down, so above,
Gladio,
so below,
nigga, gladio.
Covert, hey man, covert clandestine cabal of individuals entirely compromised by secret fraternal organizations. And yes, Gladio is their means of sort of the controlling stay behind network, essentially the rat lines in many ways, but it was a way to firmly establish themselves and provide the foothold in terms of the global dominance, right? The international agenda. And I think that is exactly what happened post-World War II, right? You saw not only was it, the Phoenix program, it was Operation Condor. It was just each and every aspect of the geopolitical map of the chess match playing out in real time. They sewed themselves in, right, as far as into the areas where they needed to have a hub of this sort of globalized, what became, right, this sort of obviously the globalist agenda is attached, but clearly this is very much a global infrastructure that was firmly and very well established. And I think that it's been sort of facilitated ever since that time. And you had the Old Boys Network, right, who they consistently continue to resurface over and over again. I can't even believe how many affiliations there are to various scandals that occurred throughout the generations in terms of, like, especially from 69 to 79, like in when you see the cult organizations. And I mean, what 78 was Jonestown too. So it's like you kind of have like this a culmination in this sort of it seemed like there were many different sort of cover-up operations being greenlit at the time, where you have a lot of these scandals go live, right? And then all of a sudden you have this major as far as thank you, Brent. Okay, I'm sorry too then. All right, nothing but love, brother. But yeah,
sweet.
I'm just
fuck you, Brent.
Wow, Jose, stop. God,
no,
dude.
Jose, no.
Man. That's hilarious.
I'm just kidding. Okay.
Anyway, I don't remember where I was going, but I had a point. So, but the main point here is that clearly there is this unacknowledged, just globalized infrastructure that again facilitates this exact clandestine network that clearly overrules and there's no accountability in terms of this power paradigm, and that is why you have nothing but political puppets involved at as far as the surface level, which is all we ever seem to be. As far as I think we're entirely overexposed to the political puppets for a reason. It's by design, but at the same time we just have to subvert our eyes. We can't fall into those traps. We have to. This is where the pattern recognition, becomes a superpower. You can all of a sudden, interpret reality. You can see things for what they are. You can see how events like this, the LA riots 2025, could have been manufactured and staged entirely to, obviously, problem, reaction, solution. It's going to facilitate and usher in a manufactured solution, right? In more ways than one. And I think that both sides of the political aisle clearly pursue this objective or these objectives, and are holding hands in terms of the agenda. And so, yeah, again, I think I hate to say it, but I honestly do believe that we're going to see something like a Gavin Newsom AOC sort of situation. And
Yeah,
it just makes sense, you know.
Yeah, at the very least, AOC. I felt that.
Well, I think she's gonna get
she's coming up. She's big.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I just think that it would be easier to give her sort of the traction to set her on the path for future administration.
Yeah, she's played it perfectly well so far. She's perfectly the voice of dissent among her party. She gets to play this Bernie Sanders role, this outsider, while not really being an outsider. Kind of takes these votes occasionally where she'll vote against these core issues, but seemingly only at times where it doesn't fucking matter, like at all. Any times when it actually does matter, she'll vote with the party, even if it is something that's supposed to be a core issue that she disagrees with. But that's the time when we'll have party solidarity for Israel or whatever. But we won't have party solidarity for Israel when it's something that's a vote that doesn't matter. Just every now and then it seems to be there'll be this like, oh, the one vote is Thomas Massey and AOC, and you're like, something about Israel, and you're like, okay, that's cool. But then you'll see every now and then you're like, oh, but then she votes along with it. You're like, but it's always when it's like clearly a big party push for something, and you're like, oh, I see what it is. It's almost it just feels like this, like almost perfectly just be jaded, planned. Oh, just every now and then I'll throw a little pittance, like that way I get to see like this protest politician. We're all not really actually being one in any actual real way.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think she very much was a manufactured asset and put into place. I think
was she literally a talent scout type situation or something? Yeah, that's my understanding.
All the boxes. She was essentially, molded for this, and I think that's another reason why she's going to be put on that fast track. And she checks all those boxes, man. She definitely does that, and it makes more sense to me. But I will say that I did think it was funny. I mentioned that Epstein point, right? About like, is Epstein alive? I never read the 4chan post. I never read the 4chan post that posted like just before the mainstream media announced his death, that he had hung himself. I didn't realize that there was a 4chan post where they predicted that well, first of all, there was a prison worker who basically claimed that an unmarked van and unknown military personnel showed up at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, and apparently this was all in order for them to switch out Epstein with a dead lookalike, which they're saying was provided by a morgue, which it's possible, but I looked into it.
You ever see those ear photos? I remember when it popped off. One of the first things I saw those ear. Okay, yeah, all the different little like. It's a little off, and
definitely
it was.
Differences. It's the same thing with Paddock. I'm like, that's not Stephen Paddock.
I mean, I will say it's kind of like when you do get into that stuff, you're like, I don't know. Maybe it could be a camera trick, could be so you're like, but it's like that doesn't look like the same fucking thing.
Now, if I did a Vegas episode today, I probably would address that, but I didn't even go there with my Vegas episode because I thought, man, all of the rest of this makes the case.
Yeah, you don't need this. I don't even weird like, and that's not to say that's not true, but it is one of these things. It's kind of like bombing analysis in the Oklahoma City bombing, where it's like, okay, I know this looks screwy, but you get into a place where it's so many different. I don't know, just an area that not any layman really can really grasp. So you are like, what the fuck is going on here? And you're kind of so it's the same deal, yeah. But what the fuck are we looking at?
Mullins book that he was talking about.
World Order. Yeah, thanks, Jules. It's also audio. You can find it on fucking YouTube, and there's PDFs of it. Eustace Mullins is a great resource, guys. He's an old school guy, and they tried to brand him as anti-Semitic, but right,
it's so funny. Dude. They're like his mentor was Ezra Pound. So fucking what? Like I mean. They're not saying anything that isn't true. I mean, like that's the craziest part. And you go through
Austin.
Yeah.
My favorite Ezra Pound quote is, "War is great, but you never get to kill the right people."
That's pretty dope.
That is amazing. That's so funny, dude.
That is actually pretty sick. Yeah.
I'm not surprised,
dude.
But all right, guys, I really got to piss. Are you guys ready to get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, that's fine, buddy.
No. We keep going.
Just let me.
If you guys Go ahead.
Let me say fuck Israel one more time, dude. Fuck Israel. Ass cream was great. I love you guys.
Ass
Fuck
cream
the
was
feds.
great.
Love your
Ass cream
mom.
was great.
Love
It
you,
was
your mom.
weird. Ass cream was well received in a very. He's got a very. He's handsome in like an older, dapper kind of way.
Fire
And,
Pixie
our
thought he
audience
was
really
quite
dug
quite
it.
handsome.
Yeah, quite handsome. That was the takeaway from the audience. They all thought he was very cute.
Funny.
I don't know if you're a
Really?
single man, but you may want to patrol the chat from time to time. I think we have like 2 girls who come in there occasionally, so you might strike some
We
luck.
got a little more. Than
Oh my god. Already dead, making relationships happen, dude.
But yeah,
That's
I think
what
you
I'm
got
talking
Fire
about.
Pixie in the chat that's just a thirsting for your ass, so may want to hit her.
She likes her some ass cream.
Oh my god.
Who don't
is
like
so
some
funny.
ass cream?
She said,
I will say,
Whoa.
there's another book, dude. It's called so basically there is the conspirators hierarchy that fits perfectly with the world order, our secret rulers, right? And it's called The Conspirators Hierarchy, Committee of 300, Dr. John Coleman. I covered it pretty extensively in the Committee of 300 episode that I did. But I mean, he was this guy, right? He's legitimately an actual, former intelligence officer, right? He was a professional intelligence officer in the UK, and he had, he was basically privy to an extraordinary number of classified documents. He was a political science officer in the field in Angola, West Africa. He's got like a crazy background, and he is the individual who claims that these individual societies like the Royal Institute for International Affairs, obviously the CFR, Bilderberg's Trilaterals, Zionists, Freemasonry, Bolshevism, Rosicrucianism, and these various spin-off local chapters, obviously that seem to pursue and share many of the same objectives. That essentially, right, that these are the entities that are kind of, first of all, he's saying the Cini Foundation, the Round Table, the Fabianists, the Venetian Black Nobility. These are the organizations that effectively choose our presidents. And the Mont Pelerin Society, Hellfire Clubs. This all goes back to what we were discussing in terms of where does this human compromise come from, right? Where does this sexual blackmail occur? And where can we trace it back to as far as like the forming nexus of like this individual sadism? And it's just an unanswerable question. I mean, it feels like it goes back to the formation of consciousness. I mean, I'm not even sure, it's like, it's sick, but it does seem to be that as in terms of, man. But again, the Order of St. John of Jerusalem. I mean, it's so crazy how many different organizations there are, and they all effectively have carefully crafted and orchestrated.
Jacob's saying in the private chat, the Bilderberg meeting starts the next day or two.
That's what I'm telling you. Like, and by the way, why was, we decided we'll no longer fund the Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. But obviously that was smoke and mirrors once again, because clearly they I mean, what did he doubled down in terms of Trump and Klaus Schwab's relationship and committing to the agenda items that were on the WEF website, right? And as far as what they're pursuing in the upcoming few years, right? And it's very interesting. But again, I don't know. But I wanted to mention this because I think it's really important, because obviously it seems as if there's legitimately you can point to, right, individual presidents who were legitimately brought to the Royal Institute of International Affairs at Chatham House and chosen from a select few. These are our controlled assets who we are willing to put into place to become a political puppet in terms of an administration, a future administration. We will now run you on the Democratic ticket. You're on the Republican ticket. And both sides are orchestrated. I mean, it's entirely orchestrated by the same cabal, the same entity. So you wonder why we effectively are on the same path. We are heading in the same dystopian direction. Nothing has taken us from that authoritarian path. Nothing has derailed us. We are on track. If anything, we're ahead of schedule. And it looks like that very pivot that I've been so terrified of, right? The pivot toward the technocracy. What were we talking about, brother? It was like the number one fear of this Trump administration was, well, the usual suspects are surrounding Trump in this moment, except this looks like the Silicon Valley takeover of like, the intelligence apparatus finally coming to full fruition in terms of their manufactured personalities, who've obviously, generated so much influence. Clearly, I mean, they control the dialogue of the public square. I mean, that's where we are. We are heading streamlined into the everything app that is X. That is, it won't just be X. We're going to have a KYC, know your customer verification clause with every we won't even be able to access the internet anonymously. So at that point, when your bank account's tied to your internet access, you better watch your mouth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we're fucked. I mean,
watch that Heil Hitler and doggy.
Watch that Heil Hitler. Exactly, dude.
Hey,
Anyway.
Fire Pixie, Ass Cream says I'm fat. So
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
fat, I guess.
You like fat
like
cock,
fat?
Fire Pixie?
Oh my god, dude.
All right, guys, let's get out of here. Pleasure you join. It was a pleasure to have you join us again. Your mom,
love you, your mom.
Jules. I mean, if you have some last
Love you
words,
guys.
go ahead.
Hey,
Love you too, brother. Jules, where the fuck can people find you at?
On X at Graypilled Pod, on Instagram Graypilled_podcast. Gonna try to make some little what are they called? Little reels this week. Take some time to do that.
Some shorts.
You can find me on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Patreon. All my patrons out there, I sent your packages out yesterday and today, so you should be getting them this week or maybe the weekend. Don't have any shows planned for this week. Just dropped the Elohim etymology. Dropping another one this coming week, and we're probably going to do one this weekend as well. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, really pushing Patreon. So you find me over there. Go to paranoidamerican.com/discount/graypill for 10% off your purchase there as well. And yeah, good show tonight, boys.
Appreciate it. It was fun. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
Awesome.
All right, man. You already know. You guys follow me at the Underclass Podcast. I've been losing it. I was so close to finishing my solo project today.
We're there.
It'll be published tomorrow. I'm at 2 hours already. I got to finish recording. So who knows? It'll definitely be around 3. I don't know what the hell it's, but still. Yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen. Had no expectations as far as. Anyway, I don't want to bury any leads. No,
it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't want to shoot off any smoking guns because I'm too excited. But anyway, it's an intense episode. Hopefully, you can kind of follow along with it because there are many different names involved. I mean, you have so many different victims, so it's just it's one of those that I attempt to kind of like conceptualize and then put into proper terms and sort of like present the information in a way that seems to be a little bit more comprehensive, and reiterate things when necessary. But beyond that, expect that to drop tomorrow on the Atlanta child murders and yeah, other than that, guys, follow the support the Patreon if you can. That's the best place to support me. I know in the next couple of days we'll definitely be doing another whatever this is. And yeah, other than that, nothing but love, guys. You know that.
Oh yeah, and I know we didn't really get a chance to mention it. I did mention the morning show. We don't have a video editor for the show anymore. No more postmortems because of postmortem. Obviously, that's an awful joke, but no, we're video editor.
I did think of that actually. Which
yeah, right. A little bit fucked up.
I know.
He killed a guy.
Tim would have laughed at it.
Yeah, he would have.
I know, right? That's why I laughed.
Love you, Tim.
But yeah, no, he killed a dude, and he's in jail for it now. I don't know the specifics of the circumstances. According to him, it was self-defense. Either way, I mean, regardless of whether it was self-defense or not, this is years after the fact, and it's just frankly one of those things where you're like, regardless of what happened, it's a waste. This was a good man. I mean, I guess like maybe you could say he made a mistake. I'm not even saying he's guilty or whatever. If anything, I kind of lean towards he's not. But it's like obviously I don't know anything about the specifics. But it's just kind of like, hey, it's just sad. One of the homies is gone.
I don't know any of the details, but
yeah,
he was never anything but good to me.
Yep,
I have
exactly.
nothing
He
but
was
love
cool.
for Tim, man. And
Tim's a
I
great
think that
dude. Like
people
he's
need
part of my Patreon. So
yeah, same. And I think I just all I have to say is people need to be more loyal, you know. And I'm not saying that you can't make mistakes that do kind of, you know, there are clearly monstrous mistakes that you can make, right? That obviously in the matter of seconds you've changed your entire the entire, you know, just all the potential gone, you know, but still it's all I'm saying. I don't know any of the details, but yeah, just know who's been good to you and remain loyal and always try and attempt to at least in my opinion, I think in more ways than one, we always need to kind of approach these issues with love in our heart, man, because that's all I'm saying. I can't imagine what he's going through psychologically. I'm not saying now. I've been to jail. I know the feeling of having your freedom stripped from you. I know that much, and I know that if you're in a position like that, yeah, I can't imagine what you're going through internally, and so I will just say that I don't know any of the details, but I got nothing but love for that guy, and I hope. You know, I hope nothing but the best, right?
Yep.
For this situation. So
I do think we will hear from some more information soon. I know his dad, I believe, recently joined Twitter. His girlfriend seems to be alluding to more coming. So I don't know. We'll find out more. I have no idea. But at the end of the day, it was a friend. So regardless of whether he did it, and this was something that happened back in like 2022. So he's been waiting for a court date for that for that long.
And
so it's like, even if, I mean, people change a lot in a few years, and he's a young guy. So it's like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not at all trying to imply anything.
Me neither. I have no idea either. And
know,
you know,
so.
Once again, it's just
shitty. It just sucks. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm just like considering, if I'm being honest, I was just considering, I have no knowledge of the details again, but there are many different things that could potentially cause me to react in a way that I entirely regret after the fact due to the consequences. Or maybe I don't even regret. Who knows? I'm just saying that those circumstances exist as well. So just to off the bat entirely condemn an individual, especially when you know shit all. You know, that's shit what all. I mean. That's the thing. No one knows shit all. And I don't know. I mean, frankly, I talked about this a little bit more. It was all mostly, frankly, let's be real. It's the lefty parapolitics stuff. I don't even know what the fuck they're mad at him about. I guess he said some shit about gays before, which I don't fucking care. I mean, you guys know me. So it is, if anything, I think you guys are being fucking gay for the fact that, oh no, he said some shit about homos once. So, we're happy he's going to jail for killing a man. What a fucking insane perspective on the world. Oh yeah.
And I don't know, a lot of people also running with that he might have been a Fed. It's once again, we're just in this position where like we don't know what the fuck, we know nothing. And also he got, it seems like, just looking from the outside in, he got fucking life is my understanding. So it's like, I don't know, like if he was a Fed, they really fucked that Fed.
Yeah, he was originally charged with second degree, but he got convicted for first, right? Isn't that what happened?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is very strange. But
so
yeah,
more will come. Definitely. But it's just I don't know. It's sounding. It's just I get it. These are the lefty parapolitics fucks. So like I don't expect much from them, but still I was frankly kind of fucking disgusted. So it's just kind of like, you know nothing. This is a real person, and a lot of them were like doing this sort of fucking behavior on like posts from like his girlfriend. You're like, dude, what a fucking piece of shit. Like,
I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, like what? Like, you have no idea. Like no one has any idea. If you follow anyone trying to find out details, everyone trying to find out details are like, I don't even know. So I mean, like, there's no court transcripts, nothing. So it's like, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this guy. Maybe I employed a Fed to create fucking shift me. I have no fucking idea. I doubt it. He
Banger
never
edits though.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like that makes it harder for me to believe it because that seems like it'd have to be
Right.
genuine. But
That
even then, it's like
Waco
this
edit made me
yeah,
cry, man.
Exactly. And this
You
guy
know?
never really, despite the relationship we had, I never got any sort of impression of digging or anything. So
No.
I don't know. Just people being like, oh, and it was frankly gross. The one that really grossed me out, I forget who it was. I think it might have been the Parapower mapping guy. I might be wrong.
I
That
saw
said
that.
something like, oh, look, like this guy was my patron. And you're like,
I was like, what the?
what a fucking
Why would you do
scumbag
that to someone
fucking
who
move.
supported you, man?
Yeah, like he literally supported your work, which he does do good work. I'll give that guy good work, but it's like
Yeah, but
I've kind
come
of
on.
always said I've made multiple sideways comments, not kind of like kind of know who this guy is, kind of what he's about, and that's kind of what I'm implying. Like when it comes to these lefty parapolitics types, you can kind of see what motivates them, and a lot of what motivates them is just the fucking the chaotic feminine nature within us all. the fag buried deep within us all.
Oh my god.
So
That's hilarious.
yeah. Which okay, cool. Yeah, you do great work, but the homo shines through occasionally now and then, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I don't know. Whatever. All right, whatever. We got to get out of here. But yeah, that is something that is I could rant on because that was one of the things that pissed me off recently. Just because it's like, well, I don't know any of these guys. It's just like, what fucking scumbag fucking behavior.
Agreed.
So yeah. See, the rhyme says they'll harass his girlfriend years to come. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I would hope they're better than that. But oh no, they made fun of gays. Oh no, I said nigger once. Oh no, words. Oh, I don't understand context. You fucking dumb fucks. All right, guys. For those who want to support my show, if you don't want to chip in any money, you can leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify. All those sort of things go a long way. If you want to directly support the show, you can go to with money. You can go over to patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2. That gives you access to early episodes, which I've been doing 1 to 2 a week these days, keeping about 4 at a time behind the paywall. Got an extra day to work with these days, too, so I might even up it. Who fucking knows? I'm not sure where we're going with that. But you guys, point being, you get plenty of paywall content. You also get access to the ad-free RSS feed, and you can also get access to the pre-show on Already Dead and get priority for the call-ins for those who want to do that over on this show. And also at the highest levels, my sponsors, I read them off every episode. I have my co-host on Tower Game. Like that's okay. I need to change my spiel up. I guess he's technically not my co-host on Tower Game anymore, but the homie Toad at Tower Game Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRECK, at _Invisiel. And then I don't even know if he still technically is Tim Tuttle / John Klebold. But I'm just going to keep mentioning him as just a RIP homie.
Yep.
And because he did support me. And then also Will Bell / Rabbit Eye Wine. And then big fan of Show Tormate. And then at INWARD Lover. Actually, no, I'm retarded. I'm supposed to call him Jordan Peterson now. I do want to say one thing I always thought was particularly interesting with Tim. Even once I started paying him for being like creating fucking content for me, he still maintained being a patron.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, I'm literally paying you. Like you don't like it makes no sense. Like you could stop paying me, and like the highest level patron. So it's like,
me too.
I know. So whatever. I mean, which some
Yeah, he
people
was
might be
just
like, oh,
wanting
this
to
is fed
love you, buddy.
behavior. But he also is like a 20-something-year-old guy with a job and no kids. So like, and clearly knew that he was years away from possibly his life ending. So I could totally see why I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to support people that do good work. I can totally see why that would be the perspective. Yeah, I'm going to devote a lot of time to studying parapolitics because that's what I find to be interesting, and I don't know how much time I got left, so I might as well do.
And I don't want to
enjoy.
face my problems anyway with psychologically thinking about them and at the
Exactly.
forefront of my mind.
Yeah, everyone's like, why would he be fucking studying Sandy Hook?
Because
What
you're
the fuck
running
would you
away
do
from
with
what's going
years?
on.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? So,
Exactly.
But yeah, exactly. Anyways, that's all. Yeah, if you guys make sure to, like I said, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We are out of here for my morning dumpers tomorrow. I will be coming with you guys for another one, but might be a little bit later. I do have a cat delivery I got to do tomorrow, so it may not be exactly on the normal summertime I'm doing these days, 11 a.m. Eastern. But give or take, maybe 11, 11:30, 12, somewhere in the realm, maybe a little bit after. So keep an eye out. Hope to hang out with some of y'all tomorrow. With that, we are out. Were you about to say something? I thought I heard you say something. No, okay, all right. With that, we're out of here. Love you all. See ya, fuckers. See you next week, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Be here or be queer. See ya.